We are thrilled to be joined this morning by Ernst Tanner, the sporting director of the Philadelphia Union, winner of the 2020 Supporter Shield. First, congratulations, Ernst, on this well-deserved title. Thanks for a little time today.
Thank you for having me.
Can you tell us a little bit, what does the title mean to you and the club? This is obviously the first time you've been able to raise that here. You were able to raise it at home. Jeff and I were lucky to be there to see the excitement of everybody. What does that mean to you and the club this year?
I mean, we never have won anything in competitive seasons, and we were struggling quite a bit in the cup competition, as everybody knows. So it was tremendous for all of us, overwhelming. We never thought that we could do it, but when the season was going on and we were doing better and better and better, then of course you are yielding on it, and finally we could do it and win the Supporter Shield. And this is really the tip of the eye on an almost perfect season.
When you decided, when you got here, you decided to extend Coach Curtin's contract. What did you see in Coach Curtin that led you to believe that he could help this team get to the next level? And how enjoyable has it been for you to work with Coach Curtin?
Above all, the first question I asked our ownership if he is a good guy and good to work with, and that was answered with yes, very good. And that's something I love to hear, because it's always important that you can work with guys, that they are open-minded. You can discuss things and brought a couple of ideas from Europe. And if that precondition would not have been there, we would have been struggling. So I think Jimmy did a great job over the last 2 years since I'm here, and I think he improved himself. He's eager to learn new things, and he made a real development. That's the reason why we have been doing so well and finally could do something.
Now that you've been here in Philly for a few years and had some success, how do the Philly fans compare with the football fans abroad?
I don't think that there is much of a difference with the Philly fans, as they are very enthusiastic, but also they like to criticize. It's a lot of emotion in Philadelphia, and that's not so different from clubs overseas. I mean, they were desperate for success, and we could really feel it live after the final game of the regular season, how happy they were and how enthusiastic they celebrated the win of the Supporter Shield. I think there were a couple of fans allowed in the stadium, and no one left. And that's the best sign you can have.
No, definitely. Everybody was still there. We actually saw the story of when you came to town and you went to a Phillies game and saw Bryce Harper booed. And when you told Curtin about it, he was like, yeah, that's normal. His style for this club and being a Philadelphia guy, how important has that been for you as you've built the personality of this team? Because you seem to have a team that reflects the hard work of the city and the region.
Yeah, I find it's very important that you have a regional guy, and to me it's also very important for the identification of the fans, having regional players as well. And what we have been doing with Jim and our homegrowns in the last couple of years is seen as exceptional, even countrywide. That's a good symbiosis we are having with our fans as well. I mean, they apologize and mistake by far easier if the guy is out of them instead of a comparable foreign player who is maybe more expensive.
Ernst, you've been dealing with developing and identifying talent for a long time, well before your time in Philadelphia. How did you develop your love for the sport, and how did you get involved in talent evaluation?
I mean, I'm in the business now for over 25 years. And I started of course, I played over in Germany, but it was only a third division play. And I started quite early with my coaching career, and that's where I found my passion and my love for developing players, in particular in the youth sector at that time. And over the years, you progress. I got a sporting director in the Bundesliga. I got an academy director with one of the best development projects in Salzburg, and had a lot of touch with the development. I also growing up in the first team. And finally, I ended up in Philadelphia, which is also known for these processes. I mean, we are doing a great job in our academy. We have great support from one of our owners, Richie Grant. Yeah, now we are dealing with these processes, and sure, we have our first success, but there are still a couple of players in the pipeline which will follow, and that's good to know.
Before we get to the Union Academy, one of the things that you had to deal with as somebody who scouts talents is dealing with agents. I read a story in the Irish Times about how you received tapes from an agent with some creative editing. Could you tell us a little about the Firmino saga?
Dealing with agents is business as usual for us. I'm really happy now that we have a situation which is pretty easy to handle in comparison to what you have over in Europe, and that would kill mentality of the players. So we are here. You know, soccer here is not the number one sport, and there's probably much more money to earn in other sports, and that's the reason why the greedy ones are working probably somewhere else. For the development sector, it is important that the player stays grounded, stays humble, is willing to work, accept criticism, and take things as they are, and just play them.
How challenging has it been to scout, particularly this past year? I assume you have to rely on the word of other people with the inability to see some of these players in person. How has that changed the way you go about your business given the current climate?
I mean, scouting nowadays is done via data and video mainly, but in my eyes, it is absolutely necessary to have a personal contact to the player you want to go for, and see him live, in terms of interactions with his teammates, in terms of his behavior on the field. That's what you cannot always see on the video, as the camera is mainly focused on the ball. But 80% of the action is more or less the players is maybe not even inside. So it's difficult now due to the COVID period to do so, but we got to find a way to go to these places. Currently, I'm just on my way, by the way.
We've talked for probably the last couple of years about how the Sixers call the method that they've gone about building their team, the process. And we've been saying that your team, the Union, has gone about this process almost flawlessly in the way that you've developed talent, young talent, as well as bringing in veterans. How successful or how satisfying has it been for you to see the development of the young players and to see them move on to another level?
Yeah, that's really satisfying when you have players you spotted in your academy, you see a perspective for them, and then you see them growing over the years. Once they are going over or they are developing out of the league, meaning that they are developing better the league's level, of course, then they need to be sold or need to do the next step. I mean, you always have a sad eye on that, but at the same time, if you really mean it well with the player, you cannot block it. The players' progress is the most important thing, and there are quite a lot of players, even in our team, who have a real good perspective, maybe even playing Champions League over in Europe.
You see players in the system like Brendan.
And that makes me happy, by the way, as well, when I see them there.
Oh, no problem. I wouldn't want to cut you off on that anyway. We see players like Brendan Ernst and Mark McKenzie playing for the U.S. men's national team. Brendan Ernst getting a goal. Obviously, the sale this year to RB Salzburg. What does this do for the overall brand of the Union, that now you're an exporter of talent on both the national level and the international level in terms of how people look at this organization when you go and approach them now?
Look, I think for the club, it's fantastic. I cannot find a better word, but I think that it is also very good for the image of MLS and the image of the soccer in the United States. The more and the better players you can bring over to Europe, where, yeah, excuse me for that, but where the most competitive football is played, the more participants in a way you have there, the better it is. And again, I'm so happy for Brandon. There's still more to come, as you know.
Well, lucky for you, you have another Aronson on the way in Paxton. What can we expect to see from the next Aronson, and what other names should we start getting excited about?
Yeah, yeah, good question, by the way. I mean, the Paxton is a fantastic player. He's, in my eyes, he's a true number 10. But at the same time, he just turned 17. And remember when Brendan stepped into the first team, he already turned 18. So he was a year older. And this is probably the reason why we need to be a little bit more patient with Paxton. But I'm pretty sure that he will have an impact on the team very, very soon.
Just curious, this is the last one for me. How do you go about balancing now? Obviously, being able to sell Brendan brings more resources into the team. You've made moves last year. You have this homegrown talent coming up. How do you balance putting a team together in terms of getting larger names and international players to the team and then reinforcing that with your homegrown talent?
Yeah, that's a true fight. We are in a position at this moment where everybody expects us to be successful, but at the same time, we are expected to develop our players as well. So, and that sometimes speaks against each other. I mean, selling one Aronson, for example, is really good, but at the same time, we sold one of our best players. Bringing in the next one takes some time, and we're probably going to need that time. And in addition, of course, we need to look out in the transfer market, which positions we are really needing. But we always have an eye on what we have in our pipeline before we sign players, and we do not want to block them in this sense, and really carefully weigh how long does a homegrown need to be competitive, and do we have some bridge years or some bridge periods where we need an external player. And that balance is not always easy to hit, but we try our best.
Well, congratulations again on the success this year. We wish you safe travels in your scouting efforts and a very happy holiday season. I look forward to hoping to speak to you in the new year and watch the continued growth of the union. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. You're very welcome. Bye-bye.